Hello everyone. My name is Art Russell. Welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to offer some information about prayer through the perspective of the law of attraction and the law of assumption. Before we begin, I'd like you to know that I'm not trying to interfere with anyone's spiritual tradition or change the way of praying that feels right for you. The purpose of this video is to offer information that has the potential to improve the quality of your life experience. The way of praying that I'm going to relate is very different from the way of praying that I was taught as a young boy. That way was based in duality, in which I believed that the sum total of me was the body-mind person praying to a distant God in the sky or the heavens somewhere. And I'm sure that that way of praying often came across as begging or pleading to gain the favors of a distant God. The way that I relate of praying in this video is based in unity consciousness, in which I know that the essence of me is consciousness itself. So let's begin. The first information comes from a book, or actually a book within this collection of books, entitled At Your Command by Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard was a Barbadian-born mystic who later moved to the U.S., where he held lectures about our essential nature, consciousness, and deliberate manifestation between the 1930s and up to the early 1970s. So let's go to the quotes. Here's the first. Prayers to be successful must be claiming rather than begging. So if you would pray for riches, turn from your picture of poverty by denying the very evidence of your senses and assume the nature of being wealthy. And here's the second. Secrecy is the first law to be observed in realizing your desire. The second, as we are told in the story of Mary, is to magnify the Lord. We have identified the Lord as your awareness of being. So that would be consciousness or awareness of being the same. In support of that information, I'd like to read the following passage from Matthew chapter 6, verse 6. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy chamber, and having shut the door, pray to thy Father who is in secret, and thy Father who sees in secret will render it to thee. Now I'd like to make a few points about this passage. Thy chamber would refer to going to that higher place in consciousness, our essential nature, where we're just stillness itself or presence. Shutting the door would be shutting our senses, so meditating and becoming very still and peaceful. And I'd also like to make a point about the term father, which has a gender bias. Instead of that, we can use source or universe or any other term that feels appropriate to you, but that doesn't have that gender bias. The next information comes from a book entitled The Master Key System by Charles F. Hennell. He was a successful businessman and a prominent figure in the New Thought movement. Here's the first quote. There is but one consciousness in the universe able to think, and when it thinks, its thoughts become objective things to it. And here's the second quote. We live in a fathomless sea of plastic mind substance. This substance is ever alive and active. It is sensitive to the highest degree. It takes form according to the mental demand. Thought forms the mold or matrix from which the substance expresses. Now, I'd like to point out that Mr. Hennell definitely mentioned that form, it takes form according to the mental demand. So we're claiming, we're not begging, because when we beg, we imply by that very begging that we don't have. And the universe mirrors what we have in consciousness. This is one of the major points. Now, for any of you who think that Mr. Hennell mentioning a plastic mind substance sounds very bizarre, I'd like to offer the following passage from Acts chapter 17, verse 28. For in him we live and move and have our being. In him, consciousness, universal mind, infinite living mind, that we live in God, and God is immanent in us. The next information comes from this book entitled The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. He was a philosopher and writer. Here's the first quote. No thought of form can be impressed upon the original substance without causing the creation of that form. A human being is a thinking center and can originate thought. So the original substance that Mr. Wattles was referring to, consciousness. That have what you desire in consciousness first, and it will be expressed as your apparent reality. Here's the next quote. You must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit, an idea unless you have it yourself. So, instead of just saying, well, I want to be wealthier, you find a dime on the street, technically you're wealthier. So it's about being specific, having a clear mental image of what you desire. And if it's health, it would be about picturing the end desire, the health, feeling vital and vibrantly healthy, rather than focusing on the old image of yourself, what appears to you currently, if it's ill health. Picture the version of yourself being very healthy. I'd like to make another few points about prayer. The first relates to gratitude, the importance of gratitude. It may sound corny, but an attitude of gratitude serves us very well. Can you be thankful for what you have even now? Even with health, wealth, relationships? Can you search for the positive in those aspects of your life? As far as gratitude, can you also be grateful for the things that have as yet to manifest, and having the faith that they will? It's important also to acknowledge even small gains. So let's say it's a very important issue. Let's say it's health. Can you notice even a 1% improvement, or 5%, or be grateful for the parts of your body that are working, are functioning in the way that you'd like? I'd also like to mention about being receptive. So, can we allow the goodness into our lives that we desire, into our life? Do you believe that you are worthy and deserving? Or are you judging yourself as being unworthy? I'd like to point out again something that's been mentioned by motivational speakers, but I think it's valid. And it's again that the wake of a boat doesn't propel it forward. So what's behind you in some of those apparently negative circumstances that occurred in your life? We can let those go. We don't have to cling on to those and say, oh no, I'm not worthy. We're new in every moment. Our essential nature is untouched by any of those apparent circumstances. If you've enjoyed this video or found it useful or helpful, I invite you to share, subscribe, and like. More information is available through my free articles at thinktwice.me, and also through my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones, available from Amazon. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye for now.